Results come back and almost immediately, without even realizing it, you start comparing her classmate, his cousin, the child next door. It feels natural. It feels like you're just trying to understand where your child stands. But comparison has a cost, and most parents don't see it until it's already done its damage. After 30 years of teaching, I've watched comparison quietly do things to children that no exam result ever could. It shifts their focus from their own progress to someone else's. It replaces the question, am I improving, with why am I not them? And once that shift happens, it is very hard to undo, yeah? Because the child stops running their own race. They start running someone else's. This series is about that trap, how it forms, what it costs, and what to do instead. Your daughter's classmate got AL1, your daughter didn't. And before you've even said a word, you can see it on her face. She already knows you are thinking it. Same class, same teacher, same syllabus, so why the difference? It's the question every parent in this situation asks. And it deserves an honest answer. After 30 years of teaching, I can tell you the gap between AL1 and AL3 is not about intelligence. It is about foundation. The child who achieves AL1 has typically built understanding layer by layer, so that when harder questions appear, they have something solid to draw from. Your daughter hasn't failed lah. She has gaps, specific identifiable gaps, that with the right teaching can be closed. The question is not why her classmate got AL1, the question is, what does your daughter need to get there too? You didn't mean it harshly. You just said your cousin managed to get it right, why can't you? It felt reasonable in the moment, but watch what happens next. The child doesn't hear encouragement. They hear, I am not enough. And that message, repeated often enough, becomes something they carry into every exam. After 30 years of teaching, I've seen comparison do more damage to a child's confidence than a string of poor results ever could. Because a poor result can be fixed with better teaching. But a child who has internalized, I am not as good, that takes much longer to undo, if ever. Comparison shifts the child's focus away from their own progress, and progress, however small, is the only thing that actually builds confidence, yeah? Your child doesn't need to be measured against anyone else. They need to be measured against where they were last month. That's the only comparison that helps. Most tuition does one thing well. It keeps children busy. More questions, more practice, more marking. But busy is not the same as understanding. When a child doesn't understand the method, more practice just means more practice of the wrong thing. The next few videos go into exactly where that gap is and what closing it actually looks like. Keep watching. Your younger son watches his older brother solve math problems quickly and confidently. And somewhere along the way he stops believing that he can do it too. But why? Nobody said anything unkind. Nobody made a direct comparison. But the message landed anyway. My brother is the math one, I am not. Sibling comparison is the quietest kind, and in my experience, after 30 years of teaching, it is often the most damaging. Because it doesn't come from outside the family, it comes from inside it. The child isn't comparing himself to a stranger. He's comparing himself to someone he loves and looks up to. And that comparison doesn't stay in the classroom, yeah? It follows him home, into his homework, into every question he's afraid to try. What this child needs is not to be told he's just as good as his brother. He needs to discover, through his own understanding, that he has his own kind of capable. You are not a math teacher. You can't sit beside your child and explain every question. And sometimes you wonder, is there anything I can actually do to help? After 30 years of teaching, I want to tell you, yes. And the things that help most are quieter than you think. The parent who says, show me what you tried, instead of, why did you get it wrong? That parent is doing something powerful. They are keeping the child in a trying mindset instead of a defending one. The parent who notices effort and names it, I saw how long you stayed with that question. That parent is building something that no amount of drilling can build. And the parent who resists the urge to compare, who lets their child's progress be measured only against their own previous best, that parent is protecting something very precious here. You don't need to teach math to help your child with math. You just need to create the conditions where learning feels safe. The results are out, you've seen the score, and now your child is watching you very carefully to see how you react. What you do in the next few minutes will stay with them far longer than the result itself. After 30 years of teaching, I've seen how a parent's reaction on results day shapes a child's relationship with learning, sometimes for years. The parent who sighs heavily, who goes quiet, who immediately asks, what happened? Without meaning to, sends a message that the child was not enough. But the parent who says, let's look at this together, that parent keeps the door open, yeah? The child stays in the conversation, they don't retreat. Results day is not just about the mark. It's about what the child believes is possible after the mark. And you have more influence over that than anyone else. That's the end of this batch. If something here made you stop and think, that reaction is worth paying attention to. More videos on this channel. Different angles, same honest approach. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you're ready to move past thinking about it, my WhatsApp link is in the description. Tell me where your child is right now. That's all I need to point you in the right direction.